is Elliott Keck, Head of Campaigns at the Taxpayers Alliance. And I've got a bit of a feeling that Elliott, in a fine organisation, the Taxpayers Alliance, I've got many friends there, is going to agree with me that MPs probably haven't earned this 5.5% rise, have they, Elliott?
Jake, I think you actually summarised it very well. You're right to say that MPs didn't choose this pay rise themselves. I think this is always a difficult time, actually, because when IPSA, the independent body, recommend pay rises, MPs, understandably have to try and explain to the public, try to explain to voters that they didn't choose it themselves. But on that point about performance, I think that's the crucial one. This parliament and recent parliaments have delivered one of the worst housing crises in history, an NHS that is on its knees while at the same time being very expensive, a sluggish economy, millions out of work, and countless other problems. And I think based on that, I think it's really difficult to say that MPs deserve the inflation-busting pay rise that has been proposed.
So, Elliott, the thing is that it's a well-worn path, isn't it? Sitting on the sidelines, moaning and carping. We can all do that. We can all diagnose the disease. We all know what's wrong. It's very hard to come up with a solution. But here on TalkTV, we like to come up with solutions, especially every Friday on the Jake Berry Show. One thing we've been discussing today is linking MPs' pay and that of senior civil servants working in Whitehall to economic growth. Now, I have a bit of suspicion that the Taxpayers Alliance has suggested this previously, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. It's an idea with a lot of merit. I think probably the actually key thing that it would need to be pegged to is probably GDP per capita. We've obviously seen high immigration used by the OBR and the Treasury to on the basis that you need high immigration to improve economic growth. But the problem is that high immigration has not delivered increases in GDP per capita. That means that the people that are already living here are not feeling better off, even if the overall size of the economy is growing. I think that's an idea with a lot of merit, but I think it probably would need to be GDP per capita to avoid that.
Right, Elliott, that's fine. So we can have a discussion about how it's done. But it sounds like we've got two former Labour special advisors, the absolute creme de la creme of the Labour Party here on the panel. They agree with me. You agree with me. I agree with myself. Surprise, surprise. So I think we found a solution here. Link MPs' pay to economic growth. We're going to have an argument, GDP per capita. It's absolutely the right measure. But we've got full buy-in from the Labour Party, as represented by the creme de la creme here on the panel. Got full buy-in from the right of the British Commentariat, Taxpayers Alliance, awesome organisation. So we found the solution. Right, we've solved that. Next, what are we going to do about these civil servants who want to go on strike because they have to work in the office? Are you ready for this? I mean, this is outrageous. 2 whole days a week they're supposed to go into the office. Surely they're right to be striking about having to go into the office 2 whole days a week, Elliott.
Yeah, well, actually, Taxpayers Alliance research revealed that the growth in the civil service over the last few years has been more than the entire size of the army. We've added about 90,000 civil servants to our total number in recent years. So it's entirely possible that given the need to decrease the size of the civil service, decrease the size of the state, if there are civil servants that frankly don't want to come into the office, use that expensive office space that taxpayers pay for, then maybe they should be looking for a job elsewhere.
Right, nice. Agree. Another solution. If you don't want to work in the office, fire them. I don't think anyone will notice. Some of them are very fine individuals, but get rid of them, fire them. Right, the first one. This is the show with solutions. I hope you're watching Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer, Jeremy Hunt, Rachel Reeves. We are the ones with all the solutions here on TalkTV. Oh, right, I don't know the answer to this. MPs clocking off early. New research reveals that MPs, for this new 5.5% pay rise, not linked to economic growth as it should be, or their work level in terms of the sitting time of the House of Commons is at a record low. Elliott, I don't know the answer to this one. How do we fix it?
Well, ultimately, the amount of time that MPs spend in the House of Commons is partly dictated by the legislative agenda that comes from government. I think there are many other things that MPs do outside of what they do in the House of Commons, things like select committees, all-party parliamentary groups, constituency casework. So I think it's a bit unfair to use that measure. There is a lot more broader job of being an MP, but I think certainly maybe we do need to look at whether or not MPs should be spending more time in the Commons.
Well, let me bring my panel in here because I think Elliott and I we've solved this. So we've solved MPs' pay rise. I think we've solved the civil servant. I'm not sure you agree.
I don't think Stella is.
I don't think sure you agree with that. But how do we get the government to bring more legislation forward? I mean,
change the government.
Change the government. Stella's nodding. Elliott, are you still there?
I am still there, of course.
Is the only way of doing this change the government? Is there any legislation? I'm sure he's watching. Hello, Rishi. Is there any legislation you'd like to see the Prime Minister bring forward to plug the hole in the parliamentary timetable?
Well, some more tax cuts would be nice, given we have a record high tax burden, but unfortunately the budget was a little disappointing on that.
I mean, Rishi keeps telling us...
trash on us again, yes.
Rishi keeps telling us he's the man with the plan. Well, it's a plan that's not translating into legislation and actually doing anything, is it?
Elliott, is Elliott still there? So this is something new. I've lost control. I'm not used to these three-way discussions. Right, well, Elliott, thank you for joining us. I'm glad we've managed to solve 2/3 of the ills that are on the news headlines today, which I don't think is a bad run rate. So thank you very much for joining us.